Welcome to All Things Mental,
a podcast that honors the messy, beautiful, nonlinear journey of healing. Because healing isn't about fixing what's broken.
It's about discovering what you need in this moment and learning to trust yourself along the way.
Here, we share stories, resources, and reminders that you're never alone on your path.
So take a breath, lean in, and remember,
you are not broken.
You're just becoming a more beautiful version of your higher self. We're your co-hosts, Michele
and Leanna,
here to remind you that
you're never alone
on your healing journey.
Hello, and welcome back to All Things Mental. This episode is entitled All Things Money, and we're just going to essentially be discussing our relationship with money throughout our whole entire lives, how we both didn't realize we had to heal from it, and then, in fact, did realize we had to heal from it, and where we are now with money. So that's essentially what this episode is going to be about. Anything to add, Leanna?
I love what you said, because it's really important that this is a topic that gets discussed, and not surprised it took us this long to get here, because we were not really sure what to talk about on the pod this week, but we ultimately came to this idea and we're like, I think we're ready. And it takes time, right? Because money is not something that we're so conditioned to be easily discussed amongst others, amongst peers, amongst coworkers, colleagues, friends, family. It's something that's so taboo that so many people don't like it, and they just bury other things under the rug, and they just move on. And it's not good, because being somebody who's good with money requires you to be able to talk about it, I feel. So I think
absolutely. Because when you said taboo, that was literally the word I was thinking about in my head when you were describing it. There's a taboo about asking, oh, how much do you make? Or there's a taboo about sticking up for yourself and being like, I'm worth this much money, and this is what I would like to be paid.
Yeah, especially those conversations of well, what's your salary range when they're asking you in an interview? And it's you kind of have to come with research and information to back up what you're saying, because it's not something that's so easily defined, and you don't want to back down on what you deserve. But once you hit them with well, the market does this, and whatever, it's a different experience. I remember for my first job, I essentially was negotiating, I think it was, 5,000 more than they originally came to me with. And it was my first job, my first job out of college. Right. And I was very much in that headspace where I was like, okay, I guess I need to just tell them the truth. And, it worked, because I said, well, my rent in the area, the minimum required for this apartment is this much, and I need to be able to make this. And if I want to move here and work here, and that's just what they require. And, they were like, okay. And they did it. And honestly, back then I was able, that was the minimum that they required me to make. And it was a reason for that, because it helped me not only feel comfortable in the bills about rent and everything for the first time, but everything else that came with it, right? Then paying for gas and electric, and then house maintenance and stuff, even though it was an apartment, just various things like that. I'm just glad that I had the comfort and the ability to make what I did at the time, and it set me up for success. And then eventually I also asked for 5,000 more on my second job. And then eventually I came to a place where in my current job, I accepted the offer as is, because it was right in the middle of the range that they gave me. And that was what I was hoping for anyway. So I'm like, okay, this works.
Yeah, no, I love that for you. Growing up for me, money was it was talked about, but it wasn't really talked about. It was argued about. Mm-hmm. And as we've talked before on this podcast, that it's imperative what you say to little kids, because it gets programmed into their subconscious. So I did not think I like was told this is, you need to save money, you need to invest, you need to do this, you need to do that, all these things. But I was never taught, here's how you do it. But I was expected to know how to do it. And now I'm at a point in my life where I kind of have a better understanding of it. Like I have like a, retirement and like, all of those like plans in place. So that way, like I can retire. But like at the same time, like I don't see myself retiring, not because I won't have the money, but because I just love what I do. And I don't see that occurring. But I am at a point now in my life where I do know how to budget. I use an Excel sheet that was given to me in a program that I did forever ago with my human design coach. And I have used that for a while now. And it kind of like, it helps my ADHD brain kind of like organize, like, okay, this is the money coming and here are your core expenses. And then it breaks it down to like everything else. And at the bottom of each category, it gives you like a total amount of like how much you've spent and how much you have left and all of that. And it's just really, really nice. But another thing that I have come to accept and realize over the years on my healing journey with money is that money is energy. It's gonna keep coming to you and it's gonna find you in ways that you were not expecting. I'm not saying quit your job and $1 million will show up at your front door, but like I always say you gotta do what you love and love what you do. And I think you and I are both in careers where we are able to do that. And like, I also think that money and abundance are not really the same thing, because to me, abundance isn't how much money you make. It's just part of it. Like, I live an abundant life because I have the ability to spend time with loved ones. I have the means to like move my body. I have the means to paint. Like we talked about this on our previous episode, All Things Creativity, that I want to finish my creative corner. Well, I'm happy to announce that I have finished it and I'm really excited. And I wanted to like do something once it was done. There's like, I don't have the energy right now. So I'm hoping I'll have the energy later. But like old me would have been like, I don't have the money to buy paint. I don't have the money to buy Legos. I don't have the money for this. I don't have the money for that. But now I'm at a point where I have the money to pay all my bills and I have the money to, pay off debt because, and debt is something that I used to look at as like a negative thing. Like growing up, I was told, make sure you have all the money to buy a car, make sure you have all the money for this and all the money for that. But like when we were kids in like the 90s, that was doable. Nowadays, it's like some cars are like half the price of a house. So that's not doable. And it's just, but also like building like up credit, which I don't even know what that really even means. I know I have a good credit score, but like, I don't really know how to make it better or anything like that. Cause again, I was told you need to do dit, and no one ever showed me here's how you do it.
Right. Yeah, that's so important. And it's hard to really acknowledge that and just accept that we weren't given the tools to live in abundance. We've had to teach that to ourselves, right? Whether that be through, like you said, with abundant life, like feeling love in our hearts and feeling so happy to just be alive. Like, I think that's what abundance is. And I think for me, like when things shifted in my career, I was living so much more in the present moment. I took years to heal and to just find community in my area. Like, the pandemic had lifted and everything was opening up and I was opening up in my heart and I felt so good. And then eventually a new job found me and I now am back in that place where I once was. And like, but I have a different perspective on it now because I'm doing something that I love to do as well. And I'm around good people. I have a really supportive team and everything. And I'm very grateful. And I know that didn't come from nothing, like I had to live in that abundant mindset to then shift and grow into this new person that I've become. And it's been tough, like I also wasn't taught anything about money. I remember getting my first bank account in junior year of high school and putting the first $500 that I won from a singing competition into it. And then that was like my money that I had. And that was that was it. And like I've switched banks so many times since then, and now I have a really good bank, and I love it, and it works for me with what I need in my life right now. And it does, high yield savings, like all that stuff. And I've only learned that a lot of that information from this amazing influencer that I follow. Her name is Her First 100K, Financial Feminist. And she wrote this book literally called Financial Feminist, and I'm holding up on the screen if anyone's watching. And she has this amazing like financial priority list. I don't know if I can find what page it's on, but if I can during this recording, I might be able to read it out loud, because essentially from what I remember reading in the book, and doing the prompts and everything, and journaling in there kind of thing. I didn't write in the book, but I wrote like in a separate form. And it's about like for me, what changed about money was that I was frivolously spending on things because I didn't have a priority of like, I wasn't working towards anything except wanting to live a better life. And that was toxic in a way, because like it didn't put me into like lots of debt or anything. Luckily, I've always been able to pay my cards like on time and like in full, or like at least through to the next cycle, like never accumulating interest or anything. But like it's just one of those things where like I know I've changed and grown, and I appreciate money a lot differently now, and I want to work on saving again and having more to not just spend on stuff and things and stuff that, yes, it fills my home with love, but like also I don't want clutter anymore. So I'm like, do I want like certain things,
No,
so
I get that. Like I've been doing like this whole entire summer break, I have been working on decluttering my home and getting rid of things. And we have a whole bunch of stuff in the room of requirement, that's the name of it, in our home. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be like that we want to donate. But you had mentioned perspective, and I full-heartedly agree with that. Like I have had my moments where my credit cards were more than I can handle, but like it wasn't that like I did it in a, oh, I just want to spend all this money kind of way. It was like more so like, okay, I have savings, I know the money's coming in, and I want to buy this, and then something happens that causes you to have to use your savings and use this and use that. So like right now I'm in the process of paying down one of my credit cards. I have two credit cards. One of my credit cards is like within like, I can handle it. And one of them is like higher than I'd like it to be. But like something that my husband mentioned is like the credit card debt, not that it's always going to be there, but like, let's take care of the other debts that are a little bit smaller and this and that and what have you, because like he grew up in a household where there was nothing but love. And I'm not saying my parents weren't the same way, but they showed their love in many different ways. Like I'm at a point in my life now where like when I go out with friends and we're splitting the bill, it's not like, okay, everybody owes $52.35. No. Everybody owes $52 or everybody owes $53. That way, like I'm not counting it down to the penny, because the way I see it and the way my friends see it is it'll all just add up and even out in the end. Like, because that's the people I've surrounded myself with.
Yes, that's so important. And I think that's also, it's always hard when like you borrow money from somebody and then they owe it or back or whatever, and then you owe it to them, and like you want to pay them back in a timely way, and like there's all this stigma around that, and like asking somebody, and how many times do you ask before you give up, or but also like in terms of the financial priority list, it's one of the main takeaways of that for me from the Financial Feminist book was that you want to be spending money on things that really mean something to you. And like she had at one point do like a money audit where like you look at your last month credit card statement and you like kind of write everything down and then like rate it, or like write a feeling or an emotion next to it or something. Like, how did something make you feel? And then you realize, okay, I don't like spending money on, like, for me, I remember something that stuck out to me was like, I didn't like spending money on parking in our town. And like, okay, so what do we do? So we drove on a different street and found like more reasonable parking and like whatever, and we would walk a different way. And I am very grateful that I grew up in a life that had an abundance of things, but I also realized that, having so much, I don't, and I guess privilege is the word I'm looking for, but it also feels like too strong of a word. I guess what I mean is like where I didn't have to worry about money, it almost taught me like to never care about it. And I'm trying
Yes.
to unlearn that, because I don't live in the same tax bracket as my parents did when they were my age, type of thing. Like it's a completely different landscape, a completely different time. And that's not on our side right now, money in that way, income and wages have stagnated. Like there's so much research and it just sucks, to be the truth of that statement, but we got to do what we got to do to survive. And like, I still want to live my life and enjoy a night out, like I'm not going to pinch pennies to do that. Like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the way I see it is I grew up in a household where that's how it was. And now I'm at a point where I want to enjoy my life and I'm not going to like let money, whether I have it or not have it, like stop me. Like, I'm not saying like I'm going to spend $5,000 that I don't have, but like, I mean, 50 here, 50 there is really okay to like enjoy yourself.
Yeah. And I just happened to find the page, and I guess because it was meant to be, where it starts out talking about the financial priority list. And she says, so it starts on, for those who have the book or
I
have the
I have
audio
the
book
list.
or
What page is
whatever.
it?
It starts on page 89. And or maybe it starts earlier than that. I'm not sure, but I happen to just find it on page 89. And the page 90 talks about financial priority number 1 is an emergency fund. You want to have, your goal is to have 3 to 6 months living expenses saved, hanging out in a high yield savings account. Okay, so that's a priority number 1, because what she says, her whole premise is like against the Dave Ramsey like way of being, where it's like you have to have no debt, then you have to save. Like she's like, no, like life is gonna life and debt can wait. What's not gonna wait is like unexpected medical expenses or vet bills or some, that kind of stuff. So, okay. Financial priority number 2 is pay off high interest debt, credit cards, payday loans, etc. The magical number to determine whether you've got high or low interest debt, 7%. That's your most expensive debt, which is why it's the best to eliminate before paying off lower interest debt. We can talk about these points like as we go, but I kind of want to like say them all before we go into them. But okay, priority number 3 is invest for retirement while also paying off lower interest debt, because we can expect a higher return in the stock market, 7% that we're spending by reducing lower interest debt. We prioritize retirement first, then paying off debt. It's kind of a Big Mac with a side of fries situation, a two-parter. And then number 4 is the big life stuff. Things that are your exciting life events that require savings, such as making a down payment on a car or a house, having kids, getting married, taking a dream vacation, or starting a business. This goal happens while you're investing for retirement and paying down your lower interest debt. And yeah, I think, oh, that was, I guess, she only has 4 part. I thought it was 5. Oh, 1.5 is if your employer matches your contributions to a 401k or 403b retirement savings account, pay in as much as you can. So that's in the top 1 with the priority list. So, and then she talks about budgeting. Budgeting, the word budget is often associated with restriction. When old school money experts say you need a budget, it's always in response to you mentioning spending money on anything that is deemed frivolous. And like we said in the last chapter, frivolous is nothing but a misogynistic word to shame you. Budgeting doesn't mean deprivation. It doesn't mean hating your life. Instead, it's actually freeing. So I skip ahead a little bit. If the thought of creating a budget makes you nauseated, remember that I don't believe in deprivation in any sense of the word. And two, there's a reason I created my own budgeting system because none of the rest of them worked very well. And there's more to it than that. Oh, okay. The bucket one, the bare necessities. Bucket one is your necessary expenses. Bucket two is your goals. And bucket three is treat yourself. So it's like, that's kind of how I've chosen to look at life at this point in my existence, is like, I don't have like a strict budget where I'm like in a spreadsheet as often as maybe I probably should. I do have like an app that tracks everything in a spreadsheet and like, or tracks things in an app like, hey, your bill went up on the, I use Rocket Money for that. But like, in terms of like the financial priorities, like I just love that they're so clean and simple, and like it's very clear what needs to happen in the world with yourself and money. And it's like, she just makes it so much easier to understand and more realistic, because she's just a regular person and not like some well, she's now a financial guru, but not in like the way of like a man doing it, it just hits.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Like I was like, I have this book because Leanna was like, Michelle, you need to read it, and she gave it to me, and now I'm kind of feeling like inspired to read it. Like literally I packed today because I'm spending a week at my aunt's house, cat sitting for her babies, and I'm really excited about it. But I packed the other book that I bought for both of us because I'm at a point where I want to read that. But when we've talked about this on the self-development podcast episode, I believe, but like you can be reading more than one book, and I'm kind of tempted when I get home to start reading this. But something else that helped me, big shocker, hypnosis. So I actually have open all of the things that Chelsea offers right now through her like stand store, and she only has one right now on the money making hypnosis bundle. As we record this, it's $11. It's usually $100. I don't know how long that sale is going to last. But if I click on it, it comes with 3 hypnosises. And if you are like one that like wants to start a business or anything like that, she has the abundant mindset. This is going to help you clear out old beliefs about money and adapt the new ones so there are no blocks in the way to receive money. And then there's 2 others: dream client attraction, if you like have a business where you need clients, and an increased success and opportunities. Once this is reprogramming your mind, you will be blown away. I had a client who listened to this audio and then got paid $5,000 for an online speaking gig for her industry. And then it also like list like a whole bunch of people who have like discussed, like messaged her and thanked her. She has other ones, but they're not available unfortunately. But I mean, if you want to, we're going to obviously put her information in like the show notes. You could always message her and maybe work with her one-on-one or whatever, or what have you, because like I mentioned earlier on this podcast episode, like you are taught how you are with money from your parents, even if they don't realize that they're teaching it to you. Like I'm at the point now where I have money in savings. It's not as much as I had a couple years ago, but life lifed and we had to use it. But like ideally and realistically, this is something that me and my husband are aiming towards, which is one of the reasons why we want to move up north, because in my career, your salary is set. You can't be like, hey, I'm worth this much. Like, no, your salary is set. So I've learned that if I go and do my career anywhere else, I'll make minimum a lot more than I'm making now. So the way I see it is we want to eventually move up north so that way I can keep doing what I love. And then my husband, who's a chef, could still do what he loves, but not make as much. Like we're not that kind of couple where, oh, he's got to make more money kind of thing. We essentially just want to get to the point where one of us is making enough money that we can pay bills and we can, cover pay bills. And then the other person's salary would be for fun and for savings. Like that's like, I saw this thing on Instagram or TikTok months ago, and it was like an ideal couple is ones that are both making over 100K. And I like swiped on it the second. I'm like, okay, if that's a reality for you, good for you. But that's not the reality for me and my husband. I'm not saying that we're poor, but like we do our best to not necessarily even get by. Like we have, like I said, I mentioned earlier, such an abundant life. And there's so many things that go into an abundant life that are beyond money. We learned this summer, over our summer break, that time is an illusion and you can make the time. If I have the energy to do it and I only paint for 20 minutes, so be it. That was 20 minutes of me doing something that I absolutely love. Or maybe it'll be like a weekend thing where like I use it to decompress or whatever it is. Like I have this corner because like I'm huge also on organization. And like my husband was making fun of me when I said to him, my glitter is color coordinated and so is my paint. And he was just like, that's adorable and funny. I don't remember what he said specifically, but my response was, well, if I'm in a flow state and I want to grab the green glitter, I don't want to get out of the flow state by looking, where the heck is the green glitter? I just know, okay, this is red, so it's a couple down from here.
Very good. Yeah, no, I think that's really awesome. And it's important to acknowledge that like our relationship with money can change over time, just like anything in our healing journey. Like our life can change and we're meant to grow and not stay the same, I feel. And if we see something that we want to improve upon and get better about, then we can make efforts to do that. Like having this relationship with money that is in a positive and abundant mindset that like I feel right now, like we've always had enough. I used to think that like I'm not going to change my license until we have a house and it's permanent, But even then, like houses aren't permanent, Like you can always move and sell your house. Like so
yeah, exactly.
At what point, what part in life is really permanent? Like nothing. So like might as well just enjoy it. So like in 2024, I finally was like, okay, I had an energetic tie that needed to be cut and I worked on that. And then very quickly after that, I was like, okay, we're getting our licenses in Connecticut and that's just what we're going to do. And we're changing our plates. And we went to the DMV, got it all done. And like, it was great. And now ever since then,
which can also be expensive, but like, I mean, like when you move to a new place, like you have to buy a plate and all of that. Whereas like renewing it every year, every 2 years, like, I don't know how it works where you live, but down here we can like, you can get a new registration every year or every 2 years. I do the every 2 years one because I like even numbers.
Fair. That's fair. And I kind of like odd numbers, so that works.
That I'm the one that introduces the odd number episodes and you introduce the even episodes.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that we're like two halves of the whole here, right?
Exactly.
Which is very good.
I love that.
I'm trying to think of other topics in terms of relating to money that we could discuss. In terms of like, just like generational wealth traumas that we've had to heal, like how do you feel now, like going into, because you're we're both in our 30s, but like you're going into the later half of your 30s, like how do you feel now versus like in your 20s, I guess?
I mean, perspective wise, what you mentioned earlier, that's key for me. I remember when I lived with my aunt for a couple of years. I lived with her till I moved in with my now husband. And I remember when she offered me to live with her, I was like, okay, we'll figure out rent when you get down here. She's like, no. Like, what do you mean? No, but you're not paying me rent. And I was like, okay, but she goes, you work at Disney. Okay. You're not paying me rent. And I was like, okay. So I literally only paid her for my half of the cell phone bill. And then originally I was going to mow the lawn. I was going to be part of it. But then we decided that the lawn was really, really big. And I said to her, I was like, I'd be willing to go halvesies or pay for all of it. And we just get a lawn service. And she's like, no, we can go halvesies on it. Because once you move out, I'm going to have to pay for it in full anyway. So it'd be a pain in the butt to have to change the names or whatever. So I did that. But like looking back on that, if I had the mindset I had now, I would have been saving so much more. I was like, oh my God, I have all this money. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then when I got into my now career, like this, like I saved, but like not nearly as much as I wish I could have. So me going through what I went through is preparing me to like, when I have kids, to like help them be better prepared for life down the road. Because like I've heard that when you have children, you always want them to have a better life than what you had. And like I used to think that involved money. And granted, at the end of the day, would I love for my future children to make more money than me? Absolutely. But for me, I want to fill their lives with love, unconditional love, abundance, and just, you know, better successes like emotional intelligence and whatnot, and what have you. But that's where it is for me. Would I like to be at a point where I have a decent amount in savings? Absolutely. I have money in savings, but not nearly as much as I would like to have. But I mean, that like I said, it is what it is. I was having this conversation the other day with someone, I think it was with my aunt, and even she said, yeah, I have an it is what it is mindset, and it's not a bad mindset to have. It's not negative. It's not like I'm dropping everything and nothing is coming back up or whatever. But like, I have just accepted that this is what my life is, and that's okay. Because like, you're going to always, I'm a very positive person, and I try to see the best in people and in situations. So
Yeah.
that's my take on it.
That's important. Yeah, I definitely have noticed this shift in turning 30 and now being 31 and like looking at my life in a completely different way. Like I remember in my 20s just feeling so restless to find myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've found myself and I've come home to who I am and I accept myself fully, like for all my flaws, for all my benefits, positives, negatives, like everything in between, like I accept that about myself, and it's in turn made me feel like a better version of myself where I don't need to like spend on things that don't matter. You know, I now I'm very careful, and I live within my means, and I have good credit, you know, just in doing that. And like it's fine. Like that to me, like I don't put like how much is in my bank account into my worth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I used to do that. And I know people who still do that. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. Like our roommate that's moving in, like we're not having her move in because we need help with money. We're having her move in because we wanted to help her out. And we'll never let anybody, like some random person, live here. Like when our old roommate moved out, they're like, you should get another roommate. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And then when the situation occurred with our new roommate, I was like, you could live with us. And at first she was like, no, it's okay, I'll figure it out. And then like a couple months later, she was like, so remember when you joked about me living with you? I'm like, yeah. She goes, is the offer still? I'm like, yes, it's still there. She goes, cool. Can I move in like July? I'm like, sure. So yeah. And I'm really looking forward to it because she's in the same career as me. So it'll be fun. So.
That's great. You're really so, you and your husband are both so generous and kind, and like just in the way of your hospitality and your friendship with people in your life, like us included, me and my husband, when we visited, like we felt so at home. We felt so happy and safe and just loved and appreciated. And that's just like,
so glad. I'm so glad. Like me and my husband were talking about that after you guys left. And full transparency, we have already discussed when Leanna and her husband are coming back down because we didn't get a chance to do everything that we wanted to do, but that'll be on our recap episode. Please stay tuned. But anyways, like we were talking about it, and like I remember the night that you guys left, your sister-in-law and her boyfriend wound up coming here as well, and they're like, you guys are like the nicest people we've ever met. And like we were talking about it later, and then it clicked in our head, like they're both like what, 21? or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so it's not that their friends aren't nice, their friends are poor. It's 21. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet and so nice. And like, we weren't joking when we said that when you guys come down, if they want to come down with you, they can, because like, yeah, like I love filling my home with people that I love. Like it's like after like a day or two, it felt like you've been here a million times, and because we've gotten to like a good like little like routine, and it was really, really nice. And like I'm gonna save it for the episode, the recap episode that we do. But one of my favorite memories with you and your husband when you guys were down here, it wasn't even at Disney. It was in the car when my husband went into Publix, and it was something your husband said.
I feel like you have to tell us now.
Okay, fine, I'll tell you. So we're in the car, and full transparency, it rained a lot while they were here, like a lot. So we're in the car, and we're ordering like food to be picked up, and my husband turned off the car, and Leanna's husband goes in like a voice that I can't replicate, but like talking kind of like not a baby, but like not his normal voice. And he goes, excuse me, Dad, could you like leave the car on? It's hot. I'd like the AC to stop. And like so that, like just, it was like, oh my God, I understand why they're together. Like I understood that like from like the like when I took you guys to Publix and what you guys were doing with like, here, you take this and you take that. And I was laughing, and your husband kind of like looked at me, and I explained it later on. I was like, you guys, that's what me and my husband do when we go shopping, and we don't want to take like a cart or a basket or whatever.
Yeah. Aw, that's so sweet. Aw.
But yeah, like my favorite memories weren't us being at Disney. It was just us spending time together. Like we planned on shooting so many TikToks and all of that. And then we decided, no, we're just going to be present, and we'll film videos when we feel led to. Like I think the first day, at the end of the day, like end of day 1, we never did an end of day 2 or end of day 3 or end of day 4. We didn't do that because we were so focused on being present. And that's just proof that we have an abundant life, because even that was just, yeah. Like it was fantastic.
I love that so much. And I'm so grateful for our connection and our conversations and just our laughter and time together, and how well we got along like from the jump, and just it was just the perfect vacation and time together. Like I would 10 out of 10 do it again.
So great. And I'm really looking forward to us doing it again, because like I mean, your husband made a very valid point, and we need a rest day in between, not just like a go kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that if we can make that happen. So.
Sounds good. Cool. So I think the takeaway from this conversation specifically about money and abundance is just focus on living an abundant life, and you will feel fulfilled, and you will feel like your life is worth living, and you will be happy. And I think that's a great thing.
Absolutely. I agree. I want to add one more thing. If you are listening to this episode and you know someone younger than you that feels poor or feels, you know, they're not like where they're supposed to be in life, send them this, because I feel like me and Leanna both touched on how we felt back then to how we feel now. Like I'm at the point where I know money's going to keep coming in. I know that money is energy, because if you really think about it, like how often do we carry around cash anymore?
Right.
Like, it's just a digital number on your phone. Would it be nice if it was like, you know, 7 digits long? Absolutely. But you know, and if you have 7 digits in your account, good for you.
Right. I know. No, it's good. Well, great. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's a pleasure as always. We'll talk again soon.
Yep. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of All Things Mental.
Please follow us on social media at All Things Mental Podcast to let us know how this episode helped you on your healing journey.
Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts so that you don't miss an episode.
And remember,
you are not broken.
you're just becoming a more beautiful version
of your higher self.